Welcome back, everybody, to Paranormal the New Normal presents Paranormal Primetime. That's right. Paranormal the New Normal has a new segment now. Every Sunday night, me and a face you all may recognize, another part of Global Strangeness,
Malachi.
Malaky, is back, and we decided to honor one of the greatest shows ever made, and we are going to be talking Supernatural every week, 2 episodes for as long as it lasts. As we have a long time to go until we get through all of them. So come
Gonna be
enjoy as
yours.
we. It's going to be years. That's damn straight true. But come enjoy as we talk about one of the greatest shows ever made. And this week we're starting off the beginning, of course, because how else are we going to start it? So Malachi, as we kind of previously discussed, why don't you give the folks a synopsis of season 1, episode 1?
Well, so I got my notes here, right? And they never specify Sam's at college, right? Dean breaks in later. Spoilers, too. Anybody who hasn't seen this 20-year-old, 21-year-old show now, spoilers. But they don't say how Sam got his full ride into college. And
Well, he doesn't have a full ride. He actually says in the first episode, because he did so well on his LSAT, that the next year may be a full ride.
next year might be a full ride.
Because
Okay.
he's in regular college. He's not officially in lawyer college yet. That's what he's trying to get to the next year.
You know what I did notice about Juice or Sam, like right when we start off, is he's not all juiced up. Dude is not on gear. His neck's like as big as mine.
Oh,
He's looking young Gilmore
he's
Girls Sam.
oh yeah, he's young as shit in the first episode. I mean, it's funny because Dean kind of looks the same in the first episode as he does throughout the whole series. Sam looks like a young kid still in the first episode.
Dean does. He's a little younger. I mean, you can tell he's a little younger, but he kind of holds that whole image where like Sam later on gets fucking jacked. Dude's like a
I
young
mean, it's true.
football player.
It's true. I mean, that's the way it looks. And folks, there will be spoilers in these episodes. There's nothing we can do about that because we can't talk about a show and not spoil it a little bit. So if you haven't seen it, maybe if you want to watch along with us, then watch 2 episodes every week and you'll keep up with us, or just watch it all and come back and listen to us talk about certain episodes. Either way, there will be spoilers. Just putting it out there now, just so people don't get all pissy later. There will be spoilers.
Okay,
But
so Sam breaks into the well, no, Dean breaks into Sam. That always fucks me up with Gilmore Girls, Sam, Dean. You know, it's like
yeah,
same character. But so Dean breaks into Sam's apartment, and we go through that fight scene, right? And that's the first time we get to look in the trunk afterwards.
yep. We get to look in baby's trunk for the first time, and oof, that's. I mean,
Yeah,
for any fan of Supernatural, that is the dream. I mean, that's part of the dream is having that trunk full of weapons to fight paranormal supernatural beings. Like, oof.
for
And
sure, dude.
in future episodes, spoilers, in future episodes, it is hilarious when cops see inside that trunk.
I wonder how many of those, because I think like the General Lee, there were like 26 cars overall that they totaled and kept rebuilding and shit. I wonder how many of those Novas they rebuilt.
I am not sure. I am
So
going to do
where
a
are they
quick Google.
going on the first one?
Well, there was at least 9 Impalas used over the 15-season run of Supernatural.
Okay. Only
But
9? It's
only
like
9.
20 episodes.
They kept it. They
Or
kept it.
20 seasons. That's crazy.
But then again, in a lot, you got to remember, in a lot of episodes, they're just filming them like driving in it, and they're probably not even really filming it. They probably just have a background and they're singing in the car talking.
I
So
guess you're right. Like the Dukes of Hazzard, they'd wreck that car at the end of every episode. Like,
in episodes like this first one, where at the end of it the car actually goes through a building, then
yeah,
in those episodes they probably do have to fix it up or replace it. But in most episodes when they're in the car, they're just driving. They're not really like hitting things per se. But
yeah.
at least usually. But I don't know. I mean, there were episodes where the car sure got blown the fuck up. So who the hell knows? I mean, but it's in this first
They
episode
have to rebuild once. I remember
they
that.
did. They did. But in this first episode, it brings forth the classic line of dad's on a hunting trip and I haven't heard from him in a while. Which that's how the show starts off. Because the show starts off by Sam and Dean basically seeing their mother be barbecued on a ceiling, but
Hmm.
which you don't find out what's happening with that till a while later. So no worries, folks. But basically, that's the reason Dean and Sam reunite in the first episode is because Dad's on a hunting trip and he hasn't been seen in a while, and you don't find out what happens to him for a long time either. But if I
Yeah, I
remember right.
think it's like season 3, if I remember correctly.
No, I think it's by the end of the first season you find out John's back on by the end of the first season, but
Okay.
it takes a good amount of episodes till they actually find him. But that's the
So they're
thing.
going to Jericho, California to look for
Yep.
Dad, and the first paranormal entity they come in is a classic, Lady in White. That's got to be in most towns in the world.
Yes, it's I mean it's kind of ironic that's the one they picked for the first episode because it is it's a very common ghost story. It's a very common paranormal entity that is seen all across across the world, not just in the United States and across the world. There's ladies in whites. I mean, La Llorona is a freaking lady in white in Mexico, so it's across the
The
world.
the thing you do have to keep in mind though is this was back in 2004, right? Like I wasn't on the internet in 2004. Like I
I
still had
was.
a brick phone. I wasn't like searching up. Was there even Google at that point? Like,
There was. Google came around like 2000, 2001, but I
okay,
mean, I was into the paranormal then, but I wasn't Googling shit like that on a regular basis. So
yeah.
the lady,
But
I mean,
the lady in
I also,
white would have been the lady in white would have been like this thing that kind of everyone had heard of that wasn't like doing a paranormal podcast like we did for
no, I
a
mean,
couple years, right?
there wasn't even really like movies about it at that point, truly yet. I mean, it was just a urban legend that a lot of people may have heard in their town or in towns surrounding theirs at that point. It wasn't a very well known thing. It was just I mean, I didn't watch this show until it was like 6, 7 seasons in originally, so I never saw it back in 2004 when this first started. I didn't watch the show, so I didn't even know if it existed at
You
that point.
freezing? Are you freezing or am I freezing?
You're freezing.
Okay, I'm back on Wi-Fi. I don't know what the hell. It's
Yeah,
like I got.
you're fine. You're fine now, but you froze for a second.
Okay.
But yeah, the Lady in White was a good starting point, I think. And I will say to start all off that I love that Dean says that Sam's girlfriend is out of his league because she is fucking gorgeous. Sam's girlfriend at college is fucking gorgeous, and that shot of her laying in bed in her underwear is just prime television.
And she does come back later on, right? Doesn't she come back for one episode way later?
Maybe I have vague recollections of that. I don't. It wasn't one of those episodes that really stuck in my head, but
So what
and
I
I
what
mean,
I want everybody to realize though is if you're watching through the pilot Supernatural, 18 minutes in, you're gonna hear the Home Depot music that they bought and took forever. That's in there. 18 minutes in, I caught that one. The Home
I
Depot
missed that.
commercial music is there.
I missed that completely. But I will say that I mean, and when they do finally meet this lady in white, I mean, the actress they cast to play her, my God, I'd pick her up on the fucking side of the road. She's fucking gorgeous. I mean, the actress that plays the lady in white is goddamn gorgeous, and I mean, until they start doing these special effects and make her turn into a true ghost, then it's kind of freaky-ish. But it's it's interesting to start with that, and I mean, this episode has so many firsts in it. The first time they lie about being federal agents of any branch, and
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they kind of like give a nod to their predecessor, the X-Files, by calling the other agents that walk by Mulder and Scully.
I got that in my notes. The X-Files on the bridge shout out. But if you
Yeah.
notice, Dean is the first one to show his badge, and Sam is wondering if this shit's gonna work. And Dean's not even really sure. He's like, maybe.
Well,
We'll
he
see.
doesn't even he doesn't even show his badge. He kind of just like flashes it real fast and shuts it real fast. Like it's a. I mean, eventually they get better ways of dealing with that type of shit in the show, which is the great thing. Is that eventually they have like official IDs made up like of all these different agencies with their pictures on it. But it's
Okay,
it's
go.
go ahead.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
no. I'm sorry. I was breaking down the next scene. So what were you saying?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Bring up the next scene. That's fine.
Okay, so next scene, they're on that same bridge, right? It's nighttime, and this is another first. This is when you get to see their first cry moment. This is where, like, when they have the whole gay porn thing written about them in the universe? This is like the
Yes.
start of that. Sam and Dean sitting on the bridge, getting all emotional, and then they see the ghost.
Yep, because Sam mentioned something about their mother because he never knew their mother because when she died he was an infant. He never really
Hmm.
knew his mother. He has no recollection of her, which is funny coming. Which we'll get to that in a couple years, but it's pretty funny. And
Yeah.
and I will say that I mean it's fucking hilarious when when Dean jumps off the bridge and gets covered in the fucking dirt, gets in the mud. That's fucking hilarious.
Hmm.
And to jump back a scene actually when they go give a fake credit card at the hotel and they find out that their dad was staying in the same hotel and they go into his room, one, you finally get to see like the true breakdown of like how a hunter lives, like how they have like their case files all around them to try to figure shit out. And two, they make mention, well, they don't make mention, but one of the articles on the wall in John's hotel room I noticed was about the Bell Witch,
Okay.
which, as everybody knows, the Bell. I mean, anybody who knows my show, anybody who knows any paranormal thing knows who the Bell Witch is. Small Town Monsters did a whole documentary on the Bell Witch. It's a very interesting case study. It's not really related to Lady in Way at all. It's kind of a different entity, but it's just fun. I found it. I caught it out of the corner of my eye as they're like panning across like all the notes on the wall. I saw an article about the Bell Witch. I was like, oh shit! Like me 15 years ago watching the show for the first time wouldn't even have known who the Bell Witch was and wouldn't even have caught that. But
Yeah,
it's
no, they did a great job bringing all this shit in the first couple episodes or seasons. Like,
yeah,
none of
I
us
mean
really knew what all these were.
you didn't, and that's a great thing. And I mean, other than that, I mean, the first episode is very, to me at least, it's very procedural. It's they're setting up a show and they do a good job setting it up. And I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, the case basically goes the way all their cases go, where they end up solving it and they end up bringing the lady away home and her demon children drag her to hell, which is unusual because usually in the show that's not the way things end. Is by something that simple. But for the first episode, they didn't know if this pilot was even going to take off probably, so they just did a simple ending. But
I thought it was a great pilot, though.
it was. It was. I mean, if I watched it, if I watched it when it first came on, I probably would have wanted to watch more because back then I would have been having to watch on live TV or record it on VCR for God's sake. Back in
Well,
2004.
like I told you, we actually, my wife's aunt lent us the first season, and then we bought every season afterwards. And I
Oh,
mean,
I
that was
mean,
like
it's
$60.
yeah. I mean, luckily when I started watching, it was all Netflix already, so I could sit there and watch episode to episode that already came out and be good with it. But
Yeah.
it's a, I mean, the pilot set it off very well, and spoilers, big spoiler alert coming on, because we can't talk about this episode without talking about the way it ends, because Dean does get Sam back to college in time to go take his LSATs,
Well,
but when
hold up. Before all that, though, Dean gets the coordinates, right? The
yes, oh
35111,
shit,
and they
you're
get to see their dad's journal for the first time. And
you're
that
right.
goes on forever.
I meant to mention that, but I in the hotel room part, but that wasn't the right scene, so I was waiting. But you're right, because you get to see John Winchester's hunting diary, which hunting journal, whatever you want to call it, and it for any true paranormal lover, it would be a dream book to have because it literally has every description of every paranormal creature ever that he's faced or that he's heard of. And this book comes into play in the show more than anything else because they use it in every episode. Every episode is basically what does Dad's journal say about this, unless it's something they faced before and they already know how to handle. But
And they
it's,
have like 400 episodes, and this journal's only about this thick. So,
I mean, well, eventually in later seasons they find a whole library of things like this, but we'll
yeah.
get to that eventually. We'll get to that eventually, but yeah, that at the end of the episode, for those who don't know, Dean gets Sam home in time to take the LSATs, but when he goes back into his college apartment, dorm, whatever the hell it is, the same fate befalls his girlfriend that happened to his mother, meaning the creature, which we all know the name, me and Malaky 100% know the name of it, but the creature that they don't name yet that did this is still at large and still hasn't been caught by the father or Dean yet, apparently. If even though we know we that'll come into play later in the season 100%, but they eventually name it in this season what it is, which we'll get. I thought they named it in this episode, but apparently I was wrong because I didn't hear it mentioned once the actual name of
Yeah, I
the
didn't
creature.
hear it either.
So we'll save that until they mention it because I don't want to ruin things for anybody who jumps ahead. But we'll try
One
to not
thing I did
spoil.
want to mention before we get on to episode 2 is where the hell did Dean get that gun leaving the police station? He's not around the
Um,
car. I mean, was it pre-staged? That was the one fuck up I saw in the whole first
was
pilot.
it was it not in the box of stuff that the detective brought in the room with his father's journal?
But did he have enough time? Maybe I overlooked that.
I mean, and the fact that Sam calls in a fake 911 call to get him to get Dean out of being sitting in a police station is fucking amazing. That's brotherly love right there. Because that's a
Well,
felony. Calling it a fake 911 call is a felony, even back then.
we have to end every episode of these with tier time. So big thing in Supernatural at the end of most episodes, they try to make it look Hallmark as fuck. I think in the pilot episode, tier time's only level 1. It's not reaching its full potential yet. It's gonna get to 10, but on the first episode, the sappy shit at the end wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't. I mean, because it basically it wasn't even that sappy. It wasn't sappy at all, really, because it was just like it's what Sam watching his girlfriend burn the same way after, and then the sappy moment is him going to the grave with flowers to put on her grave. But then that only lasts a second. Then he's like, "All right, well, I'm gonna go hunting again because I have nothing left to live for in college. So let's go hunting again." Which for anybody who doesn't know, when we say they're hunters, they're going hunting, they literally are paranormal investigators, but they actually get rid of shit 100% with no chance of it coming back ever 99% of the time. So, I mean, that's what they're hunting. They're hunting supernatural paranormal creatures, and they are. It's a dream profession for anybody who is into that shit. It's a dream profession. I'd rather do that than go to college or go to my real job every day of the week. If I can make money
Yeah.
doing that, I mean, you can't make money doing it. They even say it in the first episode when you get when they're getting gas, and Sam's like, "How'd you pay for that? You and Dad pulling fake credit card scams again?" Like they even say, like it doesn't pay the bills. Like they have to pull fake credit card scams and get money other ways in order to pay for things they need. But it's not a paying profession because nobody knows these things exist except for hunters. So or people who had to deal with these things, I guess. But
And they'll start making money in other ways through black markets and shit later on. I mean, that's
oh
how
yeah,
a lot of the main hunters, collectors, and you get some ancient cursed gold and shit. But
oh 100%.
so we're on to Blackwater Ridge, episode 2.
Yes, which episode 2, so aptly named, is it gotta be my top 20 episodes of all time because
Really?
and it is because it's one of my favorite paranormal creatures of all time, and the fact that it's the first creature we ever talked about on Global Strangeness, which is
Well,
just
don't give it
hilarious.
away yet. Don't give it
We're not
away yet because
so
originally they thought it was a skinwalker or a black dog.
which basically the way the episode starts, folks. I'll get the synopsis in this one. Basically, the way the episode starts is they're following the coordinates their dad gave them, and it brings them to what'd you say it was, Colorado or California?
Let me see here.
I didn't write the
Do I
location
have it?
down. Blackwater
Blackwater
Ridge.
Ridge. I think it might be Colorado. I was like a little toasty taking notes on the
Yeah,
second
I mean,
episode.
it's. I think it is Colorado because there's something they even say later in the episode that kind of like says like I think they even say Colorado in the episode when they talk about the creature we're gonna get to. But and this is also this is also what they call this is the first of what they call the Monster of the Weeks episodes because just like X Files had a certain format, not every episode leans into the main storyline of the season. There are Monster of the Week
hmm
episodes where it's just about a certain monster they're facing. X Files did it a lot, where they weren't chasing aliens every week in X Files. There were certain monsters that Mulder and Scully would come across. That was just a Monster of the Week episode. So this is the first actual Monster of the Week episode. Yes, it ties into the main storyline a little bit because they're going the coordinates their dad gave them, but lo and
Yeah.
behold, John's nowhere to be seen in this episode, of course. But
Well, that was what was great about the first like 5 seasons was they did a really good job of making every episode kind of a one-off and staying on storyline.
well, because
Minus
they
like
also did,
holiday episodes and shit,
yeah.
But
But the holiday episodes are fucking classic, and we'll get to those eventually.
hmm
But but they also didn't know back then how long the show would last, so that's why they did that because they were trying to make it so that when they got to 100 episodes, they could put these out there in syndication without worrying about people missing episodes. But
yeah.
but
What did you
but
think? The thing that I took out from the beginning, the kids in the tent, they had some pretty high class tech shit going on, dude. Like when I was those kids' age back when this was recorded, like I didn't have any of that tech.
no, I mean being hunters, they definitely had higher tech than normal kids their age would have, or normal 20-something
Oh,
year olds their age would have.
I'm talking about the campers. They got like full on Blackberries and game systems and like
Oh,
shit I
well,
didn't even know existed.
I mean, I knew it existed, but in 2004, I was in freaking high school still, and I just got my first cell phone, and like you said, it was a brick. So it, I mean, smartphones didn't exist yet. Blackberries were the closest thing to smartphones at that point. But so, I mean, I knew it existed. I just didn't own one because as my parents would have told me, I didn't have a reason to own it yet at that point because I was a kid. I didn't have a reason to have a BlackBerry because Blackberries were for businessmen at that point. But
Yeah.
so, but yeah, they go to these coordinates, and of course they find that oh, people are going missing, and the episode opens with an amazing monster scene of campers mysteriously getting killed, which they don't explain what it is yet, obviously, and they keep it very aloof. But it's a great opening scene, like a lot of supernatural episodes are, because you always see something attacking people in the Monster of the Week episodes at the beginning of it, and that's a great thing. And then, of course, it's up to Sam and Dean to get there and solve it. So
What I
it's
liked about most of this episode too is they do like Blair Witch style, where you don't actually see the monster.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought that made it a lot scarier.
a lot of shows like this, whether it be X-Files, Supernatural, or Grimm, or take your pick, they don't show the monster to the end because that's the point. They want to build the suspense of the whole episode until you actually get to see what's doing what it's doing. Which X-Files and Grimm, we might go to those shows eventually once we get Supernatural, but it'll be a while. But
4 years later.
yeah, 4 years later, we'll try to remember what the hell we talked about now. But yeah, basically, pretty quick into getting into the woods, Sam and Dean all of a sudden realized what it is that they're hunting on this one, and it's and they say they like Scott said, they narrow down. It's not a skinwalker, it's not a black dog like they would think. It's something more mysterious, and they even say this thing is usually not in the location where they are. It's usually up in Canada or up in Michigan woods, like up in Minnesota woods. It's not usually down in Colorado.
Well, and the hikers too, they said it was really weird because now we're getting into like a Jeepers Creepers type thing, because like they don't further that on, but they say that this thing comes, it's like every 23 years the monster comes back, and I only heard that mentioned once,
Well,
which
Sam and Dean
I thought was kind of cool.
Sam and Dean say that this creature usually hibernates for like 20 years and then is active again. That's what they say. They say this creature is usually inactive for about 20 years while it's hibernating, and then it comes back active again. And it's actually funny because one of the episodes we'll get to in a couple weeks is more of a Jeepers Creepers episode than this one is, even if I remember right. But we'll get to that. But all right, big reveal. Do we want to go into? Do we want actually want to say what the creature is now?
Well, before they find out what it is, they all walk up into the woods, and one of the kids asks them why they're not wearing shorts. It's hot outside, and they say we don't do shorts, and I'm with them on that. And you will never see Sam or Dean in shorts. Be a man,
You never
wear
will.
pants.
I mean, except for one episode coming up this season, I'm pretty sure at some point, where they are not wearing any clothes at all, really, in a way. But that's one of my top 5 episodes, and we'll get to that when we get to it. But it's that episode's a classic. I can't wait to get to that episode. I really can't. But
do the reveal.
Well, before I get to the reveal, I will say the creature they're hunting, they find out shortly enough, can mimic human voices, and that leads to some untimely deaths because some of the stupider people fall for it. Sam and Dean, of course, don't, but some of the stupider people they're with fall for it immediately and run off into the woods and are not seen again, at least alive.
Well, it's the one dude that's like guiding the original sister and brother, right? He's the hunter. He's got the gun. He's a big hunter. Tells Sam, like, I've been hunting before you were born.
But not the type of hunting Sam and Dean do, which is if you're not that type of hunter, you ain't no fucking hunter. But anybody can go and shoot a fucking deer or bear. You can't do what Sam and Dean do unless you're actually trained in this. Like they said in the first episode, Sam said in the first episode, we were basically raised as warriors, and that's 100% true. They were raised as warriors because they're fighting horrible things, and they need to be trained as warriors to fight them. Which you can see in that first episode too with their fighting skills, because I find that hilarious. Because if you don't know this show and you're watching the first episode, and all of a sudden you just see Sam start using like kung fu moves against a home intruder who's using kung fu moves too, you're like, what the fuck is this? But once it gets explained, you understand it a little better. But
I wonder if Michael watched the first episode and was like, yeah, this is not for me.
I wonder. I really do. But yes, folks, here's the big reveal. The monster in the second episode, also the title of the second episode, is Wendigo. Which, when I first saw this show, I had no idea really what a Wendigo fucking was. And for those who don't know, because we did cover this, I mean, go check out Global Strangeness on Spotify. I believe the original episodes are still there that Scott uploaded, or Malaky uploaded, I should say. And The Wendigo episode was the first episode we did because I picked it, I think, because it was one of my favorite cryptids at that point, still is. And the Wendigo is a mysterious creature. It's a human basically that becomes cannibalistic and turns into a monster because of the cannibalism after a while. There's a lot of famous cases of it up in Canada and Michigan, which is why it's funny that 17 mentioned that this creature is usually only found in like Canada and northern Michigan, because that's usually where it is found. But
Well,
anytime,
that was the thing I had the question for you. Like, I don't know anything about that black dog or whatever. Yeah, black dog. But like, Skinwalker and Wendigo, isn't that basically the same thing regionally?
nope, nope. Wendigos are found in the cold north in Canada or Michigan. Skinwalkers are found in the desert typically.
By me,
Uh,
yeah. But
yeah,
isn't it
by
the
you.
same? Like, you start eating. It's like somebody who eats
No,
human
no.
flesh.
Skinwalkers are shamans of Native American tribes who do horrible things. It doesn't have to be cannibalism; it could be a lot of different things. They just have to do horrible things. They have to invoke horrible powers in order to have power, and basically, it turns them into these Skinwalker creatures because they basically invite things into their life they're not ready to face. And that's the difference. Like Skinwalkers don't have to be cannibalistic in order to be turned into Skinwalkers. They just have to
But
be.
they're still the same power base and everything, right? Like same
Well,
description of creatures.
A Wendigo can't change its shape. A Skinwalker can.
Okay, okay. I ain't mad at you.
Wendigos by legend are typically gray, tall, huge claws, and are feral creatures. Basically, they are just look. They need to feed when they're active. They need to feed to survive. And like they said in the episode, they'll keep their victims alive because they need to feed off live flesh because of the cannibalism part.
Okay, well,
They're not
yeah.
gonna,
I
they're not
mean,
going to eat they're not going to eat rotten creatures. So at least according to legend, who knows really, but if you believe these things really exist, which I believe Wendigos do to some point, to some degree, maybe not as much as they did in the past because people don't have to resort to cannibalism anymore as much as they used to back in the past, but they definitely there definitely is proof they did exist at some point. If there's probably some still out there, but
so we
and
got Sam Dean, the older sister and the younger brother of one of the kids who's missing from the start, and
yep,
the hunter that took him up there is gone. And they
yep.
start going on a chase scene, and I thought the chase scene was like movie quality excellent. There's one
Oh,
horrible part where you see they do this kind of, I mean, graphics in 2004, let's keep that in mind, but there's this like
yeah.
clear object that moves through the woods, which looks a little cheesy. I think they could have like left that to suspense. But other than
No,
that,
I
the
mean,
chase scene's pretty good.
it is. I mean, the chase scene's really done well, and I love that 17 like straight up say like they say like your gun's not gonna do anything like that, and that the people they're with say like, well, how do you destroy this thing? And Dean straight up pulls up the freaking torch and he's like, fire, baby. Like it's the only way to kill this thing is fire. What's go What's going on, Matt? We're talking supernatural, buddy. But yeah, I mean it's the one, and I mean I don't know how true that is to legend. I don't remember if that's the only way to kill a Wendigo or not, according to actual legend. I feel like it is, and thank you
I
for
was
sharing out,
wondering
Matt.
if I was wondering if you could kill a skinwalker with a gun. And like I said, I've
Uh,
never even like that black dog thing. I think we might have done 10 minutes on back
we
during the
did. I
podcast
mean,
day.
black dogs or shucks, as they're called in the UK, are just basically hellhounds. They're basically hellhounds, which we'll get into with this show eventually. There's definitely hellhounds in this
Yeah.
show, a lot. But black dogs or shucks are the furry black dogs that people are supposedly see before death. And the fact they mention it is kind of funny because it's a black dog wouldn't tear apart a a camp of three people. Black dogs only go after the one person they're going after, and then that's it. They disappear and go back to hell or where the hell they came from. But it's a Wendigo is a whole nother creature, and it's just basically feeding to survive. So it makes sense that it would. I mean, in that camp scene, when they show up in the camp scene, they see it destroyed and the blood everywhere. That was really cool imagery, as I thought. I thought that really
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that was definitely good imagery. And I thought they did a pretty decent job at the Wendigo design. I thought they did a pretty decent job of it for 2004. For
Yeah,
creature
well,
that,
so for people watching, after that hunter dies, right, then they all kind of get spread up. Dean and the older sister get taken, and they go
yep,
into the cave, right? And I thought they did a lot of good shadowing of the Wendigo after, but like when they show him full on looking like Dracula, I think they could have kind of like the original Alien, just painted around to it, and it would have
yeah,
sucked you in a lot deeper.
it would have, but I mean, it was 2004. It was a TV. It was the second episode of a TV show that they didn't know was going to make it past the first season, so they did what they did.
Oh, for
So
sure, yeah. But it
he definitely,
before that, Dean leaves breadcrumbs, right? And that's his supplies he brings. He's got a big ass bag, like a big ass 2004 bag of M&Ms, and he left M&Ms for.
yeah. And Malachi froze again, folks. But it's yeah, he leaves a breadcrumb trail of M&Ms, and basically the way that they once Sam rescues Dean and the older sister from the Wendigo's cave, they basically figure out a way to where Dean's gonna go on his own and Sam's gonna go with the other people, and they basically trick the
You there?
Wendigo. Yeah, I'm here. You froze again. I've
You
been
froze. I
talking the
got
whole
five
time.
bars of Wi-Fi.
Me too, but I don't fucking know. But yeah, I mean, basically, I was saying, hopefully it picked up in recording. I'm pretty sure it will. But I was saying that after Sam rescues Dean and the older sister, that they basically plan a way to destroy the Wendigo. That Dean goes on his own and Sam goes with the other two that tag alongs.
Well, they
And
find those two flare guns too. That's
they find the flare guns, which flare
that
guns
was a
equal
happy
fire.
accident.
Yeah, the best kind. But and then basically they destroy the Wendigo by fire, like they said they had to. And with a flare gun, which is reminiscent of Jaws, which is always awesome. But I mean, it's always awesome to see how they destroy monsters in this show, and this one's no exception. For the first real monster they face, they destroy it pretty damn well. And I will say the last note I really have about this episode is at the end when Dean straight up says, "Man, I hate camping." Me too. Me too, Dean. I hate camping.
I knew you would hate that. um, Dean gets rewarded with a kiss on the cheek at the end for
Which
all of his
for
goodness. They
for,
they don't get any
for
money. He gets a kiss on the cheek.
for any real fans of this show, you know eventually that Dean and Sam get a lot more than a kiss in the cheeks from the ladies they help eventually.
Yeah, not on this first second case, I guess. So.
No, not in this first season. I don't even think. I think it's more towards the third, fourth season when they actually started going with that, where Dean became a ladies' man. But
I
and
mean, yeah, we're gonna get back to like which kid was mine type thing going in the future.
yep. But well,
Okay, so the end of that episode, though, I'm gonna give zero sappiness to. They're not getting
oh,
into their
yeah,
cry time.
it was a true monster of the week episode. There was no sappiness about the main storyline or anything like that. They did what they came to do and they get it done. I don't even think was there even a like hint to where John went next at the end of this episode. I don't think there was.
Frozen again. What's going on? You
Right?
there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
But I was saying I don't think there's even like a hint to where John went next in the end of this episode. If I'm right.
No, no, yeah, I don't think so. And
What,
I saw it all off key, so I'm not sure. I'm kind of watching them piece by piece too. So we'll see when John comes in. You know,
I
my
think
wife
it's
and kids were watching, and like we started on season 1. I saw a couple episodes, then we're on season 2, then 3, then you know. So I'm watching first time really since 2004 from the beginning.
I mean, I'm watching from the beginning of the first time since like 2012, 13. So yeah,
Yeah.
because I finished the X Files in 2012 finally. So after X Files, my best friend at the time was like, "You have to watch Supernatural." And I was like, "I'll check it out." And then I mean, it took a while, but eventually I was like, "I'll check it out." And then we started watching it together. And then like I just got to the point where like he only hung out with me like once a week on Saturday nights. So it got to the point eventually where I was just like, I'm like, dude, I'm watching it on my own. You've seen them all. I'm watching it on my own, so I can watch them. And he was like, go ahead. So I freaking ended up binging them for like a long time until I caught up, and then we would watch them weekly when they were on TV. So, but it it's you folks who have not seen it, you have so much to hear about, and you really should watch it yourself. It's us talking about it doesn't do justice to actually seeing it. It really doesn't.
And it's
As much as we
20
can.
years of show. Like,
16. There's 16 seasons, so it's
oh, it's
16
only
years of show.
16? Okay.
Yes, there's only 16 seasons, so it's 16 years of show. It went from 2004 to I want to say 2020. So,
Okay.
and we'll get through all of it eventually, folks. But come back next week to see episodes 3 and 4 talked about. And if you want to watch them beforehand, then go ahead and watch them beforehand. But we'll be talking about episodes 3 and 4 next week. I don't even know what they're called off the top of my head, and we'll see. I I actually don't want to know what they're called because I want to be surprised and be like, oh yeah, I remember this as I turn on. But it's gonna be good, folks. It's gonna be good. And for those who came in late and don't want to go back in the video, these will be releasing as part of the Paranormal the New Normal feed every Wednesday for Winchester Wednesdays. So
Winchester Wednesdays.
Winchester Wednesdays. But
Okay.
and we will be looking for a virgin as well. Any of my podcaster friends who are watching this on X right now, if you're a virgin to the show and want to check it out and want to talk about it, hit me up. Let me know. I'm gonna try looking
Well,
for. I'll
and
be looking for
anybody
a
who wants to watch it right before the podcast on Discord.
yes. Details for that will be coming.
We gotta fix that. Maybe I gotta get back on Hardwire.
I don't know. I'm on Wi-Fi, but I mean I haven't seen myself freeze the whole
Jimmy's
time.
like
I
doing
just
the
see.
robot going backward.
I do that naturally anyway. That's ADHD, dude.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
But I, well, folks, we'll see you next week. Same supernatural place, same supernatural time. Have a good one, everybody. Malachi said goodbye.